This is our institution's Student Success Committee. Angela asked if the recruitment strategy they adopted 6 years ago resulted in a more diverse first-year class. Sandra replied that the PDP dashboards can answer that question. Nicole, our institution's Director of Enrollment Management, logged into the PDP dashboards and clicked on the Enrollment Dashboard. Hovering over the 2015-16 data point in the line chart, they see that their enrollment was 2,043 first-year students that year, but climbed to 3,028 first-year students in 2018-19. Thomas, our institution's provost, asks, did the recruitment strategy we adopted 6 years ago result in a more diverse first-year class in 3 years? Sandra replies that they can apply the race and ethnicity dimension to find out. First, they look at the largest population in 2015-16, which were white students. Hovering over that line for 2015-16, they find that 773 students, or 37.8% of their first-year cohort, were white. In 2018-19, that percentage dropped to 27.7%. However, due to the increase in overall enrollment, the number of white students increased to 839 students that year. Next, they look at the second largest population in 2015-16, which were Black or African American students. Hovering over that line for 2015-16, they find that 475 students, or 23.3%, of the first-year cohort were Black or African American. By 2018-19, the number of students enrolled grew to 637, but the percentage of the population declined to 21%. Then they look at their third largest population in 2015-16, which were Hispanic students. Hovering over that line for 2015-16, they find that 460 students, or 22.5% of that first-year cohort, were Hispanic. But by 2018-19, that percentage grew to 32.7%, or 989 students. This was the fastest growing population within the first-year student cohort. Nicole is excited to learn about the increased enrollment of Black or African American and Hispanic students. Over the past several years, her admissions team had actively recruited new students within those communities. Nicole also oversees the institution's first-year retention programs for students of color. She asks if the PDP could tell them if those programs were successful. Nicole went back to the PDP homepage and clicked on the Retention and Persistence Institution-Level Dashboard. Because they are interested in retention, Nicole keeps the Retention and Persistence filter set to Retention. And because they are interested in retention by race and ethnicity, she applies the race and ethnicity dimension. The resulting line chart is challenging to read, so Nicole applies the race and ethnicity filter to Black or African American students, Hispanic students, and white students, since they comprise 85% of the first-year student body. Now we can interpret the findings. Hovering over the line representing white students, they find that this population increased their retention from 74% in 2015-16 to 78% in 2018-19, which is a 4% gain. Hovering over the line representing Hispanic students, they find their retention rate increased from 66% to 68% for a 2% gain. Then, hovering over the line representing Black or African American students, they see that their retention rate increased from 56% to 60% for a 4% gain. Everyone celebrates the news that not only did the institution increase the diversity of the first-year cohort, but it also increased student retention rates. But Sandra has some troubling news. Sandra points once again to the PDP dashboard and focuses on the change in gaps over time. The equity gap in retention rates between white and Black or African American students from 2015-16 and 2018-19 stayed consistent at 18%. But the equity gap between white and Hispanic students widened from 8% to 10%. While the retention rate for Hispanic students improved, that improvement lagged behind white and Black or African American students. Angela says that while the institution is serving and retaining more students, they did not increase the number of academic advisors needed to mentor those additional students. As a result, advising meetings are much shorter to accommodate larger caseloads. She wonders if this disproportionately impacted Hispanic students, and what data the advising office might have to explore this question. Nicole asks if there is anything else they need to be concerned about. Sandra goes back to the PDP homepage and selects the Gateway Course Completion Dashboard. This dashboard reports the percentage of students who complete their required Gateway Math and/or English courses within their first year of college. Sandra adds the race and ethnicity filter to include Black or African American, Hispanic, and white students. She also adds the race and ethnicity dimension. Hovering over the line representing white students, they find that 55% of this population completed their required Gateway courses in their first year of college in 2015-16, but only 53% completed those courses in 2018-19. Hovering over the line representing Hispanic students, they find that their Gateway course completion rate dropped from 42% in 2015-16 to 21.9% in 2018-19. And hovering over the line representing Black or African American students, they find that their Gateway course completion rate dropped from 31.7% in 2015-16 to 24.6% in 2018-19. To better understand how the gap between student populations changed over time, Nicole clicks the tab called Subgroup Gap Analysis. First, she compares Black or African American students to white students. In 2015-16, the equity gap in Gateway course completion rates between white and Black or African American students was 23.3%. But in 2018-19, the equity gap widened to 28.4%, which is an increase of 5 percentage points. Next, she compares white and Hispanic students. In 2015-16, the equity gap in Gateway course completion rates between white and Hispanic students was 13%. But in 2018-19, the equity gap widened to 31.2%, which is an increase of 18 percentage points. Thomas says that based on the PDP data, he will meet with Math and English department heads to discuss the declining Gateway course completion rates. Angela says she will submit a formal request to hire additional advisors. And Nicole requests that they should spend time identifying policies or practices that might be contributing to the continuing and growing equity gaps. While the institution should celebrate the increased diversity and retention of its first-year cohort, it should also work to ensure that students are supported equitably.